is in like full control. I would hope she's in full control, but I don't know because I'm hearing some stories about donors that are pushing things. I'm hearing about the pressure that's even happening with plan.
That's the other thing. They said that he took it apart and then put it back together again. Shut up. Do you know how much time it would take to do that if you were highly skilled?
To disassemble a gun.
To disassemble a rifle so that you can get it in a backpack. And by the way, not going to fit.
Not going to fit in a backpack.
And then somehow or another reconnects it once he gets off the roof? What? Like, you're telling me that this kid who's not military trained, this guy, first of all, how did he get to the roof? How come nobody was looking? How come nobody was like, there's a direct line of sight between where he's sitting and those roofs? You guys didn't check? You don't have a drone? Like, that's insane. So he's on the roof, he shoots, he jumps from the roof. He jumps down 14 feet, jumps off of the roof and lands, whether or not he's even the guy who shot him. Maybe he thought he was going to shoot him.
Oh, Joe Rogan just revealed a startling development that has the potential to completely upend the Charlie Kirk scenario. Suddenly, he openly stood up for Candace Owens. Yes, Candace Owens. The person who has been ridiculed for months and called a conspiracy theorist for speculating that the government may be concealing important information. However, now that Joe, everyone is watching as Rogan supports her. Furthermore, what he's proposing seems far darker and more profound than anyone could have predicted. Rogan claims that the account of Charlie's unexpected incident that we were all given doesn't exactly add together. He implied
Erika is in like full control. I would hope she's in full control, but I don't know because I'm hearing some stories about donors that are pushing things. I'm hearing about the pressure that's even happening with planning this event. And nope, you're right. You got me. I was not invited to speak alongside President Trump and J.D. Vance on the stage with Tucker Carlson at a memorial event.
Implied that the reality might involve those who were far closer to Charlie than the general public had in the beginning. Candace has claimed that there was strange activity going on behind the scenes. Her statements no longer seem so implausible. Online fans are giddy with excitement, believing that perhaps she was onto something genuine all along. The latest rumors are outrageous. They are pointing to Erika Kirk, Charlie's wife, who has reportedly been working covertly behind the scenes in an effort to keep everything under wraps. People claim that her behavior has been perplexing ever since the incident, from her uncomfortable public appearances to the speed at which she's been attempting to change the subject and force everyone to move on. There's something odd about it all, and viewers are left wondering what's actually happening. Although Joe Rogan didn't directly charge anyone, it was obvious from his tone, mannerisms, and indications that he had heard more than he was expressing. Social media went crazy when he said that a number of official answers.
That man. That young man. I forgive him.
Simply don't add up. Maybe he's making connections that the media won't, because this could be one of the most significant plot twists if his assertions are true. Interview 3:02. 317. There's no denying that Rogan doesn't mind upsetting people, and he may have just broken through the initial layer of something enormous this time. Now that things have become much more convoluted, let's dissect these outrageous assertions. Almost 2 months have passed since Charlie Kirk's enigmatic occurrence. However, we still have a long way to go until we fully comprehend what actually took place. Boom! Just when everyone thought things were getting better, Rogan Joe made fresh claims that caused turmoil to return. Everyone is aware that Candace Owens has been voicing concerns about the scenario from the beginning, speculating that some agencies may not be revealing the whole truth and may be shielding the true individual involved. She has been teased online for weeks, called every derogatory term imaginable, and charged of inciting controversy and pursuing media attention. However, many are now beginning to reconsider things because, if Joe Rogan's claims are accurate, Candace may have had a point. Large the entire time. Just minutes after the occurrence, Candace was the first to raise the alarm after noticing anything odd. Before all of this, a military-style aircraft was said to have landed in Utah. People dismissed it with laughter at the time. However, she didn't end there. She began making connections, speculating that there might be more.
Find this rifle, and then you say, oh, he assembled it and he reassembled it. Like, Okay. If I wish I was a cop, I'd sit in a room like, this story is horseshit. Like none of these things make any sense to me. It's all part of the plan. If you want people to lose all faith that anyone is going to solve anything, you add a bunch of, if you're going to kill a guy, you add a bunch of other wacky that doesn't make any sense, and you spam it out there at the same time. You leave a gun that didn't do it out in the woods. You do a bunch of shit like that.
You have an old man put his out and yell, I did it, I did it.
Yeah, you get some kid who has a boyfriend who's a furry, and you talk to him on Discord. I think he's a furry.
More to this than just a chance. Currents.interview.456.543 as the days stretched into weeks. Candace became even more outspoken, confronting officials head-on and accusing them of taking over the inquiry too soon, as if they wanted to control the story before the public had a chance to ask too. Many questions.
That one guy who is the decoy. All right, so you got this guy who's an older guy who starts yelling out. Didn't he take his pants down? He took his pants down. This guy was at 9/11. He was at the Boston bombings.
All the hits.
He called in a fake bomb at another place. And then he did this at this thing. Right after, so somehow or another, this guy has the state of mind that the moment someone gets shot, he yells out and says, I did it.
She claimed that when federal teams arrived, local officials were abruptly pushed aside. At that point, the timeline began to become extremely unclear. Interview.6:05635.
They said that he took it apart and then put it back together again. Shut the fuck up. Do you know how much time it would take to do that if you were highly skilled?
To disassemble a gun.
To disassemble a rifle so that you can get it in a backpack. And by the way, not going to fit.
Not going to fit in a backpack.
And then somehow or another reconnects it once he gets off the roof? What? Like, you're telling me that this kid who's not military trained, this guy, first of all, how did he get to the roof? How come nobody was looking? How come nobody was like, there's a direct line of sight between where he's sitting and those roofs? You guys didn't check? You don't have a drone? Like, that's insane. So he's on the roof, he shoots, he jumps from the roof. He jumps down 14 feet, jumps off of the roof and lands, whether or not he's even the guy who shot him. Maybe he thought he was going to shoot him. Maybe he's a patsy.
The internet is going crazy now that Joe Rogan has echoed her reservations. Are these two correct that there is a larger scheme at work? It's obvious that this story is far from over, regardless of what is happening. And each fresh hint only serves to deepen the mystery. Interview.648.738 whether or not he actually shot him. It's possible that he anticipated doing so. He might be a pathy. Every picture and video would have been made public right away if the real objective had been to find out what happened to Charlie. Because, let's face it, the internet can solve problems more quickly than any agency. However, Candace claims that such a sense of urgency was never demonstrated. That's what prompted her to look further. She soon turned her attention from questioning the authorities to seriously criticizing Erika Kirk, Charlie's wife. She started making subtle allusions to the possibility that Erika may have had more of an impact on the whole thing than most people recognized. Charlie then experienced a moment when he thought the money was vanishing. Once more, he believed that the business was spending money too rapidly, according to sources. And Charlie started investigating how and why this waste taking place. Viewers claim to have seen Candace making disparaging remarks in a specific video, suggesting that Erika may not have been the primary decision maker for Charlie's memorial or even other crucial decisions that followed. Comment sections were instantly overrun by fans who said that Candace was deliberately attempting to make a point without directly identifying individuals. But following the memorial service, things really took off. The same one in which Erika seemed collected and at ease, even publicly forgiving the perpetrator of the act. Everyone was taken aback by that moment. And after that, Candace didn't hold back. She posted something shortly after that went viral on social media. People who are already telling us to stop asking questions regarding the Charlie Kirk situation should be treated with extreme caution and suspicion. Everything was altered by that one post. All of a sudden, individuals were not merely ignoring the government. They began focusing directly on Erika. The internet went crazy when it was revealed that she had been formally appointed as Turning Point USA's new CEO less than 2 weeks after Charlie's death. Commenters started to criticize the timing, claiming that everything seemed too quick and easy, almost as if everything had been planned in before. Others stood up for her, arguing that she was simply carrying on her husband's legacy during a difficult period. However, the rumors continue to circulate. Everyone is paying close attention to Candace's constant hinting to unsolved questions. Fans can't get rid of the idea that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than anyone is acknowledging. And something about this story still doesn't sit right. That leadership change occurred quickly for someone who had just lost a spouse and for an organization that was purportedly grieving. Online users were astounded at how things moved swiftly. The announcement was made before the dust had settled, according to some jokes. Many thought that the timing was off and that they couldn't even wait to turn the page till everything had been properly laid to rest. The murmurs continued after that. Rumor had it that Erika had inherited Charlie's whole estate, which was estimated to be worth more than $12 million. People began making connections after hearing about Turning Point USA, collecting millions of dollars in donations following his death. Some observers said that after Erika took over as CEO, the scenario appeared less tragic and more like a significant change of power. Then there was the memorial's entryway. As Erika entered with that self-assured enthusiasm, the throng parted and there was dramatic lighting and flashing cameras. Online viewers said it felt more like a spectacular reveal than a somber occasion, likening it to something from a major entertainment event. Honor. People were divided. It was referred to as forceful by some. It felt strange according to others. What are your thoughts? Everyone was discussing at the moment, so please share your ideas in the comments. It appears that even Joe Rogan is wondering how everything fits together. He stated unequivocally that the official account of what happened is illogical, and he concurred with Candace Owens that much more goes on behind the scenes than is acknowledged in public. I may be asking an off-topic inquiry. How did your mother decide on Phoenix? Because there were greater opportunities for a female company owner in Phoenix. She decided to relocate from Ohio, particularly from the perspective of her involvement with the government, specifically the Department of Defense and Homeland Security. She therefore had other business associates who were already involved in that sector. Well, even one of her mentors. Thus, being able to gather in one location to truly have that was very convenient. He presented his own timeline of the alleged events at Utah Valley University on September 10th, so now people are asking, how is it possible that someone with that kind of history just happened to be there again right when everything went down? The odds sound almost impossible. With every new detail surfacing, the mystery keeps getting murkier. And honestly, at this point, nobody knows who or what to believe anymore. Joe Rogan didn't stop at questioning the chronology. He went so far as to speculate that Tyler Robinson could not have been the actual culprit after all. And I can tell that my hubby will never be replaced. No, however, there are certain parallels between my spouse and Vice President J.D. Vance. Yes, I do. He hinted that Tyler might have been set up to accept responsibility, essentially a scapegoat positioned in the midst of a much larger issue. The internet went crazy with that claim alone. People reading news, watching videos again, and attempting to construct their own theories about what truly transpired. But according to Candace Owens, Rogan's biggest revelation was when he publicly endorsed one of her most audacious assertions to date. You must pay particular attention to the days leading up to the incident in order to fully comprehend what occurred to Charlie Kirk on September 10th. As that is when things began to change behind closed doors. She thinks the true story is more about internal conflicts at Turning Point USA than it is about chance. A few days prior to all of this, Charlie allegedly delivered an internal memo to his team that was a game changer. He launched a thorough examination of Turning Point USA's financial operations in that message, stating that he intended to look closely at how money was handled, where it was going, and precisely who was profiting from it. He was motivated to change things up in order to increase the organization's efficiency and transparency. Approximately 8 days prior to the event, Charlie informed his team that he had given the chief operational officer the go-ahead to start what he described as a comprehensive internal review project. The objective of eliminating inefficiencies, reducing expenditure, and ensuring that every dollar was tracked. However, that same memo had a very different significance following his unexpected death, one that both insiders and fans were unable to ignore. Shortly after, Candace Owens was reportedly contacted by a number of former Turning Point USA workers who said that strange financial transactions were taking place behind the scenes. They implied that Charlie might have discovered something significant, something that could have completely altered the way the company functioned. One thing is undeniable, regardless of the veracity of those assertions. That audit announcement's timing seems far too fortuitous. Now that Rogan has added his voice to the mix, this hypothesis has taken on a whole new life, and everyone is keeping a close eye on what could happen next behind the scenes. Rumors suggest that Charlie Kirk's scheduled audit may have revealed anything significant. It might have shown that over $40 million in money were missing, according to reports. It's difficult to accept that Charlie's unexpected death was merely a coincidence if that's the case. And he was sincerely attempting to make things right at Turning Point USA, as Joe Rogan and Candace Owens keep saying. Follow the money, because that's where the truth generally lurks. The more you dig, the more twisted everything becomes. Turning Point USA's millionaire backers weren't exactly giving out checks out of altruism. There were always expectations associated with their wealth, and eventually those expectations became pressure. That pressure might have reached a boiling point at some point. Charlie complained in private group discussions, according to screenshots that Candace recently revealed, his frustrations over specific donors, threatening to pull their funds unless he adopted their agenda. Charlie allegedly wrote, "Just lost another major donor, $2 million a year, because I won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. I will not be bullied into silence or forced to back away from my beliefs." Those messages are authentic. They depict a man torn between extreme financial pressure and his commitment to his principles. Some of the aforementioned donors, however, have subsequently come forward to refute everything, claiming the screenshots were fabricated or taken out of context. Bill Ammon, a wealthy investor, is among the most well-known figures involved in the controversy. Yes, the same person who allegedly had a private meeting with Charlie a few weeks prior to the incident. One of the most talked about aspects of the whole affair is the alleged meeting that happened in the Hamptons. People close to Charlie said that he felt uncomfortable thereafter, and even confided in pals that he felt pressured and forced into a bargain he didn't want to make. In retrospect, that meeting has taken on an enigmatic hue, even if nobody knows precisely what was spoken behind closed doors. Later, Candace Owens reiterated her accusations, stating online that Charlie had been subjected to tremendous pressure from the same influential people he had previously looked to for assistance. He was fighting powerful people who disliked being questioned or pushed, she wrote. Her remarks were unsettling. Charlie Kirk was opposing some of America's most influential individuals, and he was being broken by the pressure. The messages will leak, the truth will surface, and the movement he founded will reappear. She even reposted another widely shared tweet in which she said that Charlie was on the verge of losing his last significant contributor due to his refusal to prohibit Tucker Carlson from attending Turning Point events. That message quickly went viral, rekindling discussions on social media regarding who actually profited from his demise, and whether or not some people's cries following his death were genuine. Everyone is pointing fingers right now. Each new assertion is in conflict with the previous one. Additionally, the misanthropy increases with depth. But one thing is certain: the reality of what actually happened to Charlie Kirk might completely upend the political landscape if these stories about the missing money, donor pressure, and covert meetings are even partially accurate. Nothing was being held back by Candace Owens. She was outspoken and demanded that the rich funders be held accountable for what she described as their manipulation and wrongdoing. She didn't end there. Candace asserted that she had additional evidence and assured everyone that the truth will be revealed whether they liked it or not. More is going to come out, guys, she wrote on social media. That phrase alone threw social media into a frenzy. The truth is inevitable. They're lying, but rest assured, they were reckless enough to put their anger and demands in writing. She then sent out another heartfelt message that stunned everyone. I apologize to all of you for hurting my friend. Something within of me was let loose by you. Until we learn the truth, we won't give up. Until the very end, they tormented and coerced Charlie. The manipulation, threats, and intimidation ended acting as if nothing had happened. Thousands of followers filled her comments after her remarks requesting that the true story be revealed at last. It would be terrible enough to be deceived by influential sponsors. However, the subsequent turn of events was even more bizarre. There were rumors that Erika Kirk, Charlie's wife, would be a part of the chaos in some way. Yes, you heard correctly. His inner group was no longer immune to rumors. People started uncovering past interviews, such as one from 2020 in which Erika stated that her family had relocated to Arizona after her mother began working for the Department of Defense and Homeland Security, particularly after Candace began implying that government participation couldn't be ruled out. That one comment rekindled a variety of hypotheses on the internet. Candace has stated time and time again that she thinks there might have been more going on than just internal strife, implying that some agencies may have influenced the circumstances surrounding Charlie's unexplained death. She even implied that she was holding onto records that would support her claims, stating that she was just waiting for the appropriate moment to make them public. Then there's the detail that left fans speechless. According to reports, Erika has grown close to prominent politicians since the tragedy. The frequency with which Erika has recently been pictured with Senator J.D. Vance was observed by Candace's followers, and this led to a never-ending online discussion. Particularly at Charlie's memorial, many began to comment on how comfortable the relationships appeared to be. The former president's embrace of Erika during the service was one instance that went viral on social media. What some perceived as a consoling touch, others found strangely intimate. Videos of that incident circulated on various platforms, sparking debates regarding its true significance. Some murmured that it suggested a deeper connection behind the scenes, while others believed it was just empathy from an old ally. Now, no one is claiming that there is evidence of anything dubious. However, the combination of those well-known friendships, Kaz's familial ties, and Candace's allegations has made the matter a complete mystery. Additionally, as more people dig, more questions remain. Appearing. It's obvious that this story is far from ended and that things may get even uglier before the truth is out. Whatever is concealed beneath all of this stress, people felt that something more profound was happening at that very moment. That hug. Everyone was repeating the moment in slow motion as president and Erika clung to one another for a beat too long, arguing whether it was simple consolation or something more. Then there was that widely shared video in which she appeared to have touched him in a way that caused some people to take notice. Online fans weren't so sure, but most people thought it was probably a strange camera perspective or an innocuous moment taken out of context. However, what transpired at a Turning Point event a few days later was far more significant than all that discussion. Tension was evident as Senator J.D. Vance and Erika took the platform together. The smiles, the way they gazed at one another, fell in touches. Fans were convinced that romance was on the horizon. It was described as providing forbidden love stories and enthusiasm that shouldn't be there at a political gathering. The moment of the bombshell then arrived. Erika commented that she thought Charlie looked like J.D. Vance. Social media went crazy, and the audience gasped. This is becoming nasty as fans swarmed the comments with questions such, is she soft-launching a new relationship? Calling it now. Vance divorces his wife and marries Charlie Kirk's widow by 2026 was one widely shared tweet. Others asserted that this was all a part of a calculated rebranding to push J.D. Vance's public image before the next election. However, not everyone thinks it's romantic. Some supporters believe that the two are merely close politically and believe their chemistry. is being overly interpreted by the general populace. Even if that is the case, people can't help but note how close Erika has been to the same well-known individuals who were previously accused of concealing her husband's true circumstances. That's why everything seems so perplexing and, to be honest, a little unsettling. It truly raises the question of whether this is only a show of solidarity or something much more profound. Because everything about the issues seems to be building toward a major revelation at this point. Every aspect of this narrative seems to fit into a larger picture, including the millionaire funders, the enigmatic audit, the dubious links, and the officials' continued silence. There was a reason why Joe Rogan stood up for Candace Owens. He has witnessed the same fissures that everyone else is now becoming aware of. And after being called delusional for months, Candace is beginning to resemble the one person who has always been correct. Her case just gets stronger with each fresh leak, odd picture, and conflicting comment. This is no longer just about Charlie Kirk if what Rogan and Candace are suggesting even partially comes to pass. This could reveal the kinds of strong ties that conceal some facts from the general audience. Now, the question is not whether something is being concealed, but rather who is doing it and how far they will go to maintain it that way. Furthermore, the speed at which fresh evidence is emerging makes it seem as though the truth bomb might explode at any moment. What are your thoughts on all of this? Is everything coincidental and chaotic? Or do you think Candace and Joe might be onto something? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Remember to subscribe, like, and share.